I'm Angel Davis, and with Angel Davis Coaching, I should say that. And you are listening to Verbally Naked, a podcast devoted to the enhancement of relationships, or at least we hope. I'm here with my sidekick,
Peter Hermes. How you doing today, Angel? Nice intro.
Thanks.
I'm just gonna leave that one up to me.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm good. If you're listening and you heard the beginning, you might have picked up on what we want to talk about today. But we're going to look at a little bit at infidelity and how the media and movies, songs kind of play into that, or at least our take on that. Peter, have you ever been cheated on?
I have been cheated on.
Have you ever cheated?
I have not ever cheated. To me, cheating is the cardinal sin in a relationship. I feel. And so for me, it's a deal breaker. So yeah, it's one of those things that you can't take back.
You don't think you can bounce back from that?
I don't think so. I think even the strongest people that do, and there are plenty of people that stay. For me, it's just something that you can never forget. And people are, even the most forgiving people, I think it's one of those things very, very difficult to get past. Unless you have a conversation, unless you're in that kind of a relationship where,
free for all,
or an open
style
relationship. And a lot of people are in those as well. But if you're in a committed monogamous relationship, cheating just does not, in my mind, should never be, that's just something that's a no-no.
Yeah. I was cheated on, but it was when I was younger per se. So
me too.
I'm trying to think I think at the time, I'm not sure that I wouldn't have tried to work it out. It was kind of an interesting situation to begin with, but what I find most interesting is, I feel like the cheating in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship is pretty, everybody kind of has an agreement about that. But marriage, I feel like, is a little bit like suddenly there's a little gray area, particularly when people are separated.
Sure.
That there's that, well, is it really cheating? Is it not, or is it cheating? And, for me, and this is just my opinion, I feel like that unless, and you might have an agreement with the person that you were separated from, there may be if they know they're heading for divorce, there may be that conversation they have where, yes, we can see other people even though we're still legally married.
That's a different conversation.
But I think most people, though, think that it's just, it's an automatic okay that, well, you're separated, so you can do whatever you want.
But I don't think I don't think we're going to focus on that in this conversation. This conversation, I feel, is for those people that are in relationships.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just saying that I feel
not on
like
the way
I
out
feel
of
like
a relationship.
No, but I feel like marriage. But we're going to talk about justification of, and separation is a justification.
Oh yeah, we were on a break. I thought we had a deal. We were broken up for 5 seconds. Yeah,
and so what I'm saying is unless that conversation has happened with that person, then no, you're cheating.
We're talking about sneaking around, finding some side play or whatever you want to call it.
But I understand what you're saying.
And then trying not to get caught.
We're mostly talking about you are in a marriage,
or relationship or whatever.
Yeah. So you and I have been having fun catching up on an old show, Frasier.
That's right.
Yeah.
Love that show.
I know.
I wish it was still on the air.
I know. But
there are 11 seasons, and we're going to watch every episode.
One of the ongoing sort of jokes that goes on in that show is the sort of farce between Miles, Daphne, and the character
Who?
Niles, sorry.
Uh,
Our cat is named Miles.
yeah.
Sorry, guys.
So Niles is married, or at
Niles.
least he's not.
Not the whole
Yeah,
show,
he's
but he's
married
married to Maris,
to Maris, who we never
who
meet.
we never see. It's a
But she
character
is
that's never
painted
seen.
to be a monster. She's
Yes.
painted to be a horrible
Just
person.
a horrible person. And he is pining through most of the seasons of Frasier for Frasier's dad's caregiver,
Right.
Daphne.
Daphne.
And
The British.
right.
Ooh.
Stop.
Sorry.
She's but it raises an interesting not question, but I tend to feel like in movies and shows, song, they make that, they got to justify, once again, justifying how they justify this is okay for you to be on board with.
Right.
Because, like in this case with Frasier, Niles's wife, when he is married to her, is painted to be this horrible person.
Right. Of
Right?
course. And that's not the only example. We watched Bad Moms.
We watched Bad Moms the other day.
Bad
And I
Moms.
get it, guys. Like, Bad Moms is a comedy. It's funny. It's supposed to be whatever. But, the main character's husband, who is having an affair, basically.
Right.
But he's so horrible.
They
but
paint
he's
him out to be a
horrible to
moron.
the point where I'm always like, but how great can she be that she married him?
Right.
That's a whole
that's
different.
beside the point.
I
But
know.
then, like later, they're still, and then she meets the quite the opposite, the
Right.
definition of a
She
great
meets
guy,
Mr.
and she starts an affair with this
Right,
guy.
because they're
but
not
that's
at all
fine.
on-
It's fine because
Right.
the other guy's such a
Right.
monster.
Right. That we
So-
need you to be on board with the fact, because I think really it's lazy. We don't want to go through separation. We don't want to go through the divorce proceedings.
Right.
Like we don't want to take you through that timeline. So we're going to speed this process up by going, this is a really bad relationship. This is a relationship we want you to like.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of guess that they're going to eventually get divorced. And you're like,
Right.
all right.
So
You talk about The Good Girl.
there's a movie, The Good Girl, that not a lot of people are familiar
Jennifer
with.
Aniston.
Came out maybe 15 years ago, and it's about a small town.
Really that long?
It's about a small town girl
Mm-hmm.
who she's married, and she works at the Walmart in town or whatever, or the Roundup Rodeo or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And there's a new kid that works there, and she starts an affair with him, but he represents excitement in a life that she is leading is very dull and
Right.
married for many years.
And once again, there's that justification of, well, but her life is. No, I'm not saying that her life gets better when she has this affair by any means.
Trouble. Actually.
It does, but it's once again, it's that this is the justification for why this character.
Her husband he smokes a lot of pot, and there's no excitement.
Right.
Him and his best friend
Right.
sit on the couch and watch TV all day, and she works, and I think he paints houses. And it's just, I'm sure that deep down that they care for each other, but she's not being fulfilled physically in that relationship. And so she finds, this guy, and then it just leads her down this very troubled path. And then there's sliding doors.
Well, before you get into
I'm
that,
sorry.
though, no, it's okay. Well, this is kind of along the lines of the same example that you're about to get into with movies that are kind of, because here's the thing: is most of the in our situations where we've been cheated on, I know friends that have been cheated on. It's not like their partner was a jerk to begin with. Like usually, it's shocking. You're like,
Right,
what?
of course. In movies, it's never.
You're like, you're kidding
It's like never
me.
shocking.
You're kidding me.
I've never really seen a realistic depiction.
In High Fidelity, Joan Cusack's reaction when her friend says Andy cheated,
Right.
and she's like, "What?" That is more of where you're just like, I mean, because there's very few friends I've been like, well, yeah,
Yeah, you didn't see it. Everybody knows
Because
he's
you're-
cheating
yeah,
or whatever.
Because they're, it. But I feel like in movies and what we're talking about with media.
Well, they set it up to where they paint people into boxes. This person's a horrible person.
Right.
This person's a good person.
Right.
The good girl, for example.
Right.
And then on the other side, there is, a better option, or like here's a really great guy or girl that they probably should be with, but they're, oh my gosh, they're married over here to this terrible, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's so unrealistic.
Yeah, it's just it again, I feel like, and I keep going back to this, but that they are setting it up for this justification for bad choices, bad decisions, unacceptable behavior.
Right.
Well,
sorry.
No, I was going to say, in High Fidelity, they actually do they stay together. At least, you know, they get back together at the end. We have no idea. You have no real thought as to whether or not that relationship will make it.
Right.
But they are reconciled by the end of the movie. You were talking about, sliding doors.
Well, sliding doors doubles down on the.
It's an interesting.
I feel like it doubles down on the bad stereotype where both so basically, if you haven't seen the movie, it's about a woman whose boyfriend, they're not married.
They're not married. No.
Her boyfriend is cheating on her with another woman, and they double down.
His ex-girlfriend, actually.
And they make both of those people horrible people. Like,
they do.
You root against her ex-boyfriend, and you want, like, the ex-girlfriend that he's cheating on her with.
Right.
She's just an awful human being.
Well, of course.
And so they just double down, and they give you no options.
They do, where you're like, why would he choose her?
You never see the movie where it's like a real conundrum for an audience member. Like, my gosh, this is a real tricky situation that they're in. It's usually like, I hate that person,
right.
and I want them to, and I want these two to get together, or I want them to stay together.
There's no complexity.
They never give you
it.
a choice.
No.
They're like, because in Sliding Doors, she's got a spineless boyfriend who's just a little ratty worm.
Yeah.
And then he's cheating on her with Jean Triplehorn.
Right.
Who
so this movie
plays a great bad guy.
Yeah.
You really hate her in this movie. She's
involves
horrible.
So this movie, for those who haven't seen it, and this is an older movie, by the way. This is not a recent film by any means, but Gwyneth Paltrow is the lead. And what happens is you basically see two paths. You see what happens if she catches her boyfriend cheating, and what happens if she doesn't.
Right.
And ultimately, it comes to a head either way, in both scenarios, and she ends up not being in that relationship anymore. But that to me is a better depiction of, it's not pretty. Cheating is not pretty.
No.
It's not.
It's sneaking
simple.
around. It's
it's ugly. It's hurtful.
You're destroying trust. You're destroying,
And you know what I will say with him, though, you feel a little bit sorry for him.
Like he's trapped.
They don't make him out to be like, you're right, he's spineless.
Yeah.
But they don't make him out to be just 100% one-dimensional.
Yeah, I find him to be.
I don't.
I don't find him to be redeeming in any way.
Well,
I don't root. In saying that, I don't root for them to stay together.
I don't root for them to stay together. No, and I agree with that. But they do show some sense of love, like that he understands what he did.
Well, in the same sense where they double down there, in the movie, they make the bad guys bad. They make her other option, so she, in one storyline, both storylines, she meets another guy who is the definition of the best man to walk the planet. And they do that also in Bad Moms. They make this unattainably great guy or girl.
Right.
And you're like, I'm rooting for those, and it's just like, does that really ever happen either?
Well, I mean, there's other fish out there. I think Almost Famous is a good, even though it's about a rock band and all these things, but I do think that they show how hurtful and sad cheating is as well. It's a really interesting movie, but there's a lot of infidelity that happens in that film. And, but I do see, you see how hurtful Kate's
Band on the Road.
Yeah.
The story of,
And Little Children Little Children is a very disturbing movie if you haven't seen it. Kate Winslet, there's actually a lot of names in it, but that movie, what I liked about it, or what I took away from it, even though it's so hard to watch, because there's some really heavy things that happen in that film, but the infidelity that takes place, to me, they do paint it in, it's so it's a childish, because they're both doing it for very selfish reasons. There's two different, there's a couple, like the people that are cheating, you see their relationships as well, like the people that they're cheating on. And the reasons why, like, again, the justification for why, right? She's the stay-at-home mom. She doesn't want to be the stay-at-home mom. She doesn't deal with the kid all day. The husband is, when he comes home, he's super into the kid. And she's just so, the other guy looks super exciting. The other guy, the mom, is super, into the kids and what are you doing? And, she's a little bit more uptight. And so Kate's character seems free and all of these things, but they do paint it in a way that's like, you know what? In the end, it's just ugly and it's selfish. And I know that, it's not, I do think that they show it's complex.
Right.
It's not, but I feel like more than not, the first movies and shows that we're talking about are more of what gets seen. That justification for.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's the slippery slope.
I just came across another title, Lost in Translation, is, the movie with Bill Murray.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so this girl goes to Japan with her photographer boyfriend who's busy the whole time. And we are to assume that he might be cheating on her with the model that he's there to shoot. So she starts a relationship, a not physical relationship with Bill Murray, and it's one of those movies where they kind of paint Giovanni Ribisi to be kind of this like flippant, douchey guy, but I think that's a little bit more of a complex movie. It's a little bit more realistic because then she never cheats, but how do you define cheating?
Right.
Do you define cheating with sex?
Yeah.
Do you find cheating
emotional cheating?
Emotional and all of that. And I think that that's an interesting
conversation.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think emotional cheating is not a deal breaker, because I think that as long as it comes to light, I think that can lead to cheating, though. I think it can lead to the physical, obviously.
It certainly can. There are a lot of interesting people in this world.
Communication happening, yeah.
There are a lot of interesting people in this world.
Yeah.
And it would be, as a person that's living on you should be able to experience conversation and I guess emotional intimacy with just about anybody. It's when it turns into, I think the thing with cheating is that when you are in a relationship, when you've made a choice, that's the choice that you've made. And if you want to make a different choice, you need to handle the present before you deal with your future.
Right.
So if you find somebody more interesting, more whatever, and you want to be with that person, then you need to respect the person that you're with enough to say,
Yeah, there needs to be the dissolve of the relationship.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just
and it's very selfish. Cheating is
that's what I
very
mean.
Selfish.
Yeah. I remember
I can have it all.
When I was cheated on and I asked, I said, why didn't you just tell me that you were interested in somebody else?
I didn't want to hurt you.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he said. He
this
said,
hurts even worse.
He said, it's because I couldn't tell you something like that. And I said, no, but you could physically have sex with somebody else and find that wouldn't be just as hurtful somehow. Right. But again, it's that weird justification of like, well, I'm doing this, but I can't tell her because then that would really hurt her feelings. You've gone well beyond hurting my feelings at this point. Break up with me, right? Do the right thing and dissolve that relationship. And that's something I haven't really researched or done much studying about as to why people feel like they can't dissolve the relationship they're in
because they're embarrassed
to have.
I don't.
But it's
yes,
like,
they don't want to hurt.
Yeah,
they don't want to hurt that person, but they're also scared and selfish and embarrassed.
And I know it gets complicated when it's a marriage and there's children involved.
Do you want to hurt me slightly now by breaking up with me and then getting with somebody
Right,
else, or
right.
do you want to destroy me
Right.
by being with somebody else, potentially bringing, sexually transmitted diseases?
Yeah, a lot of things.
And
It's
a
complex.
psychotic
Yeah.
person. I mean, you look at the movie Fatal Attraction. He didn't think she was going to boil his rabbit and have to be murdered.
Yeah, I don't think
You
that
know,
happens quite as
right,
commonly.
but you never know. You could be bringing real problems.
That's why we don't have bunnies in our house, by the way.
That's right.
I think ultimately what I wanted to share about this conversation was mostly just being careful about, the I think our audience is smart, but there is a lot of justification in what we see, what we hear, through the media, through even songs. I mean, Usher, you make me want to leave the one I'm with, start a new relationship with you. And I think that song does deal with the complexity of I don't know what I know I shouldn't stay. I want to go, but it's just he's trapped. But also, I mean, there's a lot of songs about secret lovers. Then you have like The Woman Scorn, which Carrie Underwood's,
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna
slash your
slash his
tires and take a
and,
baseball bat to your pickup
which
truck.
I think, hey, that's a more realistic approach to how you feel.
Right.
But I think that, yeah, a lot of the media that we watch and consume does flippantly deal with cheating. And I think that's a pretty slippery slope, excuse me. Yeah, and maybe I just want to encourage people to look at, justifications for why you're choosing to choose a choice that is inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
I've always heard the phrase, cheaters cheat. Or cheaters always cheat.
Yeah, I don't know that.
And you've had a problem with that one.
Yeah, because I think that they're, everybody can redeem themselves. But do I think that, yeah, I do think people can save the relationship. Do I think it can ever be the same? No.
Mm-mm.
I 100% have to say no, I don't. I think that it's real tough to get rid of that elephant.
A lot of respect and trust.
Yeah.
Too much respect and trust is lost.
Yeah. I think to some degree the person who has been cheated on will have to really do a lot of practice in being able to let go of what happened and trust, like you said. And then the person that...
How do you gain that back?
I don't know. And the person that did the cheating has to do a lot of practice on basically being okay with the fact that that other person is going to probably question a lot of things you do as you go along.
It's going to rear its ugly head.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Maybe, I don't know. Once again, I would have to interview more and do a lot more research on people and how they mend this kind of relationship. Not a problem we're going to have.
Absolutely not. If you cheat on me, we're done.
Ouch.
Well, no.
I'm not going to cheat on you, but
well, there you go.
I gotcha. So.
Yes.
Well, it's summer.
That's right. We're taking a break.
Yeah.
We're about to go get married.
Well, we are getting married, speaking of which. So, yes, we are going to have our summer, get married, and then we'll meet you guys back here in the fall.
Yeah, I think August, probably late August, we'll be back with our next episode. But we're going to take June and July off.
Yeah.
And we got our kid getting out of school in summer, and then we're heading to get married, and then we're going to Ireland.
So 2 months of figuring out more about how our media impacts our relationships.
Maybe we'll come back with some positive things the media maybe gets right.
Yeah, it's
not all bad.
I always have some good things. We always have good examples and not so good examples.
That's right.
All right, kids.
Yeah.
Have a good summer. Be safe.
Yes.
And as always,
live big.